Ladies and gentlemen, this is Intervlog. I say this is Intervlog, and I am here once more. I am here because there is one important information I have for you today. Some people never wanted this information to happen, but by the grace of God, it has happened. And it will continue to happen because truth will always prevail. And you would ask me, what is the information? Well, the information is that 10 new ambassadors have presented their credence to Ibrahim Traore. But before I will continue to give you the information, I will have to explain what credence is. Credence is trust, belief in, and acceptance. Now, meaning that what we are going to talk about today is about new ambassadors who saw what is happening in Burkina Faso and saw how the West have been portraying Ibrahim Traore as dictator. This West have even put some sanctions on Burkina Faso. But the new 10 ambassadors have watched Burkina Faso and the Burkina Faso's president, Ibrahim Traore, for some times, and realized that these people who are giving Burkina Faso sanction are not saying the truth, because Burkina Faso has never had any leader better than Ibrahim Traore. And they said that those sanctions given to Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore, that they don't believe in it. That they have watched Ibrahim Traore and they trust on his vision. And in order to show their action, they have to present a document showing their credence to the leadership of Ibrahim Traore. And this is exactly what we are going to talk about today. 10 new ambassadors present their letters of credence to the president of Faso, Ouagadougou, June 28, 2024. The president of Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, received this Friday morning the letters of credence from 10 new ambassadors accredited to our country. This act of great interest for international cooperation translates the vitality of Burkinabe diplomacy. 10 countries officially recognize Ibrahim Traore as president of Burkina Faso with letters of credence. On Friday, June 28th, 2024, Burkina Faso celebrated a significant milestone in its international diplomatic relations as 10 countries presented letters of credence to President Captain Ibrahim Traore at the Presidential Palace. This event highlights Burkina Faso's growing diplomatic influence despite ongoing security challenges. The accreditation of these new ambassadors underscores the transitional authorities' efforts to enhance international cooperation and partnerships. The ceremony began with a formal reception at the Presidential Palace, where each country's representative was greeted with traditional Burkinabe hospitality. The newly accredited ambassadors met with President Traore individually, emphasizing the importance of bilateral relations between Burkina Faso and each nation. In his address to the new ambassadors, President Traore expressed gratitude for their country's support and reaffirmed Burkina Faso's commitment to fostering strong bilateral relationships. He acknowledged the challenges posed by the security situation, but emphasized that these obstacles would not deter the country's diplomatic efforts. The presentation of letters of credence by these 10 countries is not just a diplomatic formality, but also a testament to the mutual respect and shared objectives between Burkina Faso and its international partners. With these new ambassadors in place, there is renewed hope for strengthened cooperation and a brighter future for Burkina Faso and its people. Diplomatic ballet at the Palace of Koulouba, a sign of a dynamic and strengthened cooperation. Burkinabe diplomacy continues to strengthen under the leadership of Faso President Captain Ibrahim Traore, despite the security crisis facing our country. This diplomatic radiation is the asset of the transitional authorities. Indeed, on Friday, June 28th, 10 new ambassadors presented their letters of credence to the head of state. Now, after listening to this news, I said that if you want to succeed in this life, you must not listen to people sometimes, because democracy is a good practice. Because what democracy means is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. In a common man language is, majority carries the vote, and everybody has right to vote. And after the voted, the majority would decide who governed the country. But is this what is happening in democracy now? No. Now, what is happening in democracy now? In democracy today is we are mafias. We'll be saving money waiting for an election. Once the election reach, they will buy the vote with their money, and they will be voted in. After voting them in, they to save more money for the next election. And what happens? What happens is that the mafias will continue to be re-ruling perpetually. You can never find a good leader through democracy. Because before you can rule a country today, you must have to be corrupted. You must have to spend your last money to contest the election and make sure that you win that election through corruption. Anything that starts with corruption always ends up with corruption. All of a sudden, God decided to help Sahel region by giving them one of the best presidents the world entirely has ever witnessed. But what happened? The West came up with their system of democracy that he was not elected by the people. For that, they will give him sanction. They will not accept him. He is now an enemy. Now, my question is this. In most of the countries that practice democracy, is the West not seeing that democracy has been corrupted in Africa? Don't they see how they ring election in every 4 years to get into power? Don't they even see how some of these rulers who are in Africa are changing constitution to make sure that they rule the second term, the third term, the fourth term, the fifth term? Some have been in office for over 40 years. That one is not their problem, right? Don't they see what is happening in West Africa? How democracy has killed West Africa completely. And one funny part of all this is that this West will send their observers during the election, and the election will still be rigged, and they will not say anything. Is the West telling us that they are happy the way democracy is going on in Africa today, where you cannot elect a good leader? You only can elect a rich man who will buy all the votes and make sure that he win the election. And after winning the election, when he's going out, he will determine who is going to replace him. It becomes from one mafia to another mafia to another mafia. No matter how you protest, no matter how you cry, they can never give you good governance. Are they thinking that people will just respect democracy because of the name, even when it is corrupted? Because it's obvious the democracy has been corrupted. Go to the ECOWAS. Look at the leaders in ECOWAS. Give me one person who's as good as Ibrahim Traore. Just one person. Some of all these leaders in Africa, not only in Africa, in the world in general, but majority of them exist in Africa. Once they win an election, they will be celebrating. The reason of their celebration is not because of good governance which they are going to give to you. No. Their celebration is that the money they spend is going to be recovered, number one. They are now going to enjoy the way they want, number two, and their plan has been completed, number three. And what is that, their plan? Their plan is enjoyment. Because from the day they win the election, they will be planning the type of cars they will drive, the type of house they will live in, the type of motorkid they will have. You will see them traveling to Japan to buy Land Cruiser SUV latest model. The president will go and sign for about 1,000 pieces of Toyota Land Cruiser SUV. Each of these SUVs cost about $150,000, the ones that are not blood-proofed. Why the blood-proofed one costs $200,000 each? The president will procure 1,000 pieces of SUVs and share it among the governors, the senators, lawmakers, local government chairmen, and himself. This Land Cruiser SUV, which they are sharing, the West is not seeing it. Now, after the SUV being shared, this SUV also stands as a bribe, because in the next election, the local government chairman must work for the president. The governors must have to work for the president. The senators work for the president. The lawmakers must work for the president because the president had already given you SUV for free. SUV, which cost 200,000 US dollars. If democracy really wanted to give Africa good governance, why didn't they use the money they are spending on SUV to build factories or buy tractors and send villages and unemployed youth to farm? Because based on my knowledge, each one of the SUV, which costs $200,000 US dollars, can actually build 3 factories. If you multiply 3 factories by 1,000 pieces, which they mostly procure, you will be having 3,000 factories in 4 years. Do they do that? No. What did Ibrahim Traore did? Ibrahim Traore refused to buy Toyota Land Cruiser SUVs. Instead, he used the money to buy tractors. The whole government vehicle, both the local government chairman, the ministers, the lawmakers, the governors, and him, have only 2 SUVs. And those SUVs are not Land Cruiser SUVs. And you ask me, what type of SUV is that? It is Lexus, cheaper ones which they use for special purposes. Ibrahim Traore himself, his vehicle till today, is Land Rover Defender 2001 model. That is what he used to go everywhere. Instead of changing that Land Rover Defender 2001 model, he used the money to procure tractors. Which of the presidents on the democracy has done it? Just show me. How many of them even think about the people they govern? Protest here and there, corruption here and there. Why is the West not seeing all those things, but what they are seeing is somebody who comes to give good governance? Therefore, nobody can stop Ibrahim Traore, because what Africa needs is good governance, democracy, or military rule. All these things are names of government. If a military man will give you a better leadership, don't use because of a name, democracy, and chase him away. Never. If you have a bad leader who came through democracy, but he is bad, don't use because of that name, democracy, and keep him there. So are you telling me that it is normal to support injustice in Africa? Are you telling me that it is normal to support corrupt leaders in Africa, and Africa cannot change it by themselves? Are you telling me that it's normal for Africa to have leaders who don't think about them, and Africa must accept that leader? Most of all these leaders, really in Africa today, they cannot rule some countries in Europe for 1 week. Pick some of all these leaders, whom the West are supporting, and send them to rule any of the countries in Europe. Just anyone. They cannot rule for 1 day. They will have corruption charges against him, and they kick him out immediately. But because in Africa, they will support it and tell you, this man must rule you because it comes through democracy. How many European leaders have resigned through democracy? Boris Johnson even resigned not long ago. But they are kicking them out because if you don't resign, there will be consequence. Now, Africans have decided to make sure that they change all these bad leaders by themselves. And you are telling them that it is normal for this type of thing to be happening in Africa? No, it is not normal. When we see good things, we know them. Ibrahim Traore is one of the good things that have happened to Africa. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. This is Intervlog.